Hey everybody, Jam Creates here, doing another video in the car, driving time. Haven't done one of these in a while, but I had something I wanted to talk to you about. Before I get started though, I just want to say, if you have not already signed up for Indie Comics Underground and you missed out on issue 1, go follow the link in the description. It's down there. You can go to my website, you can read issue 1 for free, and then you can sign up to subscribe also for free, so that you will get issue 2. Issue 2 is coming out for subscribers on Friday. That's right. Friday is the day that issue 2 will be out for subscribers. Everyone else is going to have to wait to read it. Everybody else cannot be as cool as the people who subscribed. Also, on that note, Indie Comics Underground 2, issue number 2, is looking huge. Dude, you have no idea how much content is in this issue now. Like, seriously. I thought the first one ended up bigger than I originally intended. This one's even bigger and has some really cool exclusive stuff in it. Definitely, you want to check that out for sure. So hit the link in the description, sign up if you haven't already. And while you're doing it, you could always hit that subscribe button. That's right there. I mean, it's not like it's going out of your way to do that on the way to subscribe to Indie Comics Underground. And while you're over there, you could always hit that bell and you can hit the like button and all that good stuff. Okay, so anyway, getting into the topic of what this video is going to be about, I find it really funny. I guess like multiple people were having the same thought. So it might seem like I'm kind of just jumping on a bandwagon here, but I was thinking about this the other day. And I was going to do a video about it while I was walking my dog, but I thought, you know what, I might get heated, or it might go longer than a dog, walking the dog. So I wanted to, do it in the car today on the way home from work. So everybody's talking about, well, not everybody, but, lots and lots of people love to throw out the term toxic fandom and all this other kind of stuff. And originally, that's not exactly where I'm headed, but it is kind of where I'm headed to. If that makes any sense. What I'm thinking of is, I'm a longtime sports fan. I know it's, sometimes people feel like, well, you can't be a nerd and like nerdy stuff and like video games and comic books and like sports too. Well, yeah, you can. You can like whatever the hell you want. But I was thinking, years ago, now I don't know how old everybody is out there who's listening to this video, watching this video, but years and years ago, there was a thing where the New Orleans Saints were so bad, and I mean really bad, that a lot of their fans would show up to the games with paper bags on their heads because they were literally embarrassed to be Saints fans. And the whole point of doing that was to kind of shame the team into getting better, like shame the ownership into doing something to get better. And you've seen this throughout the years in lots of different places, lots of towns, lots of sports, different franchises. You've seen it everywhere, not just necessarily the bag on the head thing, which we have seen in other places, but I find it kind of funny that if people are doing the same thing, like when you root for a sports team, when you love a team and you're a real big fan of that team, and that team does something boneheaded, or a player on your team does something stupid, or your team makes a bad trade or a bad decision, you're going to rip them. You're going to rip the players. You're going to rip the coaches, the managers, the ownership, like all of that. You listen to sports talk, you hear it all the time. When a team is doing bad, fans call up and rip them left and right. No one ever stops and says, well, all those people are crying man babies, or those people are toxic fandom, because it's expected, because sports is a meritocracy. If you're not good at sports, at a certain sport, you're not going to play that sport professionally. It's as simple as that. If you stink at it, you're not going to stay in it on the team. You're just not. So, when people call up a sports talk radio, or you see like writers and sports pages or whatever, ripping a manager or ripping a team or, ripping a player, It's not that they are entitled man babies. They're not incels. They're just sports fans who care about their franchise and are mad that their franchise is doing something poorly. That they're either playing poorly or they made a bad decision in the front office or whatever it might be. And even during the course of a game, you could have a star player who has a terrible, terrible game, and the fans are going to boo that star player. Now, they're not booing him like, to say, we hate you, we want you gone from the team. They're booing his performance for that night. And a lot of fans will go back and forth on whether or not that's the right thing to do, but it doesn't matter. Ultimately, you pay your money, you go to the game, you're allowed to do whatever you're allowed to yell and boo, whatever. It doesn't matter. And the athletes understand it. Once in a blue moon, you might see an athlete clap back at the fans and say, like, after all I've done for you, how could you treat me like that? And generally speaking, when a player does that, he's either done in that town, or, and then they got to ship him out, or he real quick wises up and comes back and says, no, I get it. The fans are expressing themselves and, they're unhappy with our performance and blah, blah, blah. Like they make it up because they get slapped down and they realize like, this is a stupid idea. Like, let's just, move on. In comic books and in movies now and in television and everything else, you are simply not allowed to dislike a decision that someone has made without getting clapback from the people in charge. If I call up a local radio station and I complain about something that the Yankees do, which the Yankees are having a great year, so I'm not going to complain, but if I complained about something that the Yankees did, if it's ridiculous, the host might make fun of me or whatever, but that's part of the risk you take when you call up a talk show. But the owner of the team, the Steinbrenners, or the general manager, or Aaron Boone, the manager, or the players themselves are not going to come back and say, well, that guy's just an entitled man baby incel and he's a jerk and he doesn't know what he's talking about and blah, blah, blah. No. It is what it is. Like, that's part of being a pro athlete, is you take criticism and you just deal with it. You do with it what you want, but you deal with it and you have to accept it. You're going to get booed. You're going to get cheered. You're going to get booed. It just depends on what you're doing. Your decisions, if you're a manager in a baseball team, your decisions every game are going to be questioned constantly. And if you make, a few bad decisions in a row, guess what? That could actually cost you your job, because sports is a meritocracy. You win or you get fired. Comic books, seems to be like entertainment, because it's not just comic books, it's entertainment in general, seems to be you're allowed to just keep losing and you're never going to get fired. Like, you're never going to get cut from the team. You can give up 100 home runs, you're still not going to get cut from the team. How does that make any sense? And when the fans who care about whether it's the characters, the company, the franchise, whatever, make their opinions known, instead of anyone just either doing one of two things, either one, just flat out ignore it and don't acknowledge it and move on, or two, acknowledge it, accept it, and say, yeah, we'll do better. Instead, they've decided to turn and say that those fans the only reason those fans are upset is because they're passionate, because they love the thing that you're doing. They love the thing that you're working on, and they want it to be good. They're not doing it because they just dislike you personally. Let's be honest, none of us knew, like, you want to use Star Wars as an example? None of us knew Rian Johnson before The Last Jedi. Nobody knew him personally. I didn't know a damn thing about this guy before that movie came out. Now, I think he's a jerk, and I think he made a terrible movie. But if I come out and say, I think it's a bad movie, literally the company behind the film is going to come out and attack me and call me all sorts of names and make fun of me. Meanwhile, all I want is for them to be successful. Like, That's the ridiculous thing. As a fan, literally being a fan of something means I want it to succeed. The last thing I want is for it to fail or to be terrible. I want it to be good. And that's why I'm passionate about it, and that's why I might yell about it and complain about it and whatever. That's what people are complaining about. It's not that they're entitled. It's not that they're man babies or anything like that. They simply care. They seem to care more than the people who actually work on these franchises, which is really sad. And again, if you want to make the comparison, why is it that sports fans can rip and tear apart an awful team and no one says, oh, well, it's the toxic fandom of sports? No one talks about that because it doesn't exist. Because they simply want their teams to win. It's the same thing with people like myself and comic books and movies and things of that nature that we enjoy, video games, whatever. Like, we want them to win. We want them to be successful because if we want them to be good. And the funny thing is in the end, if they are good, and then they will be successful, and then the companies who make them will make more money, and then they can make more of them, which we will then continue to support and make more money and more money. Instead, they've gone the opposite direction and hostily attacked fans left and right, labeled them as toxic and everything else. And now, I don't buy Marvel comics. I don't buy DC comics. I haven't seen a Marvel movie in the theaters in, I can't even tell you how long, honestly. Like, because I just don't even care about even the Marvel movies. Like, I never even saw Endgame because I just didn't care. Like, I was so done with Marvel that it literally soured me on the characters entirely. And it's the same thing with Star Wars. I did not go see Solo because I couldn't stand The Last Jedi. I never even tried watching Resistance, the cartoon, even though I watched every episode of the Clone Wars and every episode of Rebels and loved them. I never even bothered watching Resistance because, one, it was in the time period I couldn't care less about, and two, I was just, it had completely soured me. It absolutely had soured me, and to be perfectly frank, I don't know if I'm going to go see Episode 9 in the theater. If I do, it's going to be solely out of this weird obligation that I feel to go see it because it's like the last one of this. Like, I don't know. Like, I might not. Like, honestly, like, there was never a doubt in my mind about previous, whether it was Episode 1, 2, 3, or The Force Awakens. There was never a doubt in my mind I was going to go see those movies in the movie theater. Now, how you feel about them afterwards, that's whatever, but I was going to go see those regardless. Rogue One, absolutely. I saw it twice in the theater. Last Jedi, and everything that came out after that, from Lucasfilm, from Disney, from the people involved, has soured me so much on it that I simply don't care. I'm not even passionate about Star Wars anymore to where, like, I want to argue about it or I want to fight. Same thing with Marvel and DC. Like, I don't want to fight to save them. I don't want to fight to get them back. Like, some people I know got into this whole thing to try and get the characters back. I'm done. I don't even care. They've basically forced me to be apathetic about properties that I used to be insanely passionate about. Now, I am still incredibly passionate about comic books and about science fiction and things like that, but not those particular franchises anymore because they have just driven me away. I don't care anymore. I don't even get upset anymore. I just roll my eyes now when I hear about the things that they're doing in Marvel and the things that they're doing. Like, I don't even care. I don't think, short of, like, I don't even know. I don't know what they could do to get me to come back to Marvel, let's say. And I love Spider-Man. I do. But honestly, they have so diluted the character by making 9 billion different spider people and everything else that they've done with it that I just don't care. Like, maybe if you had McFarlane drawing a new Spider-Man run, you'd get me to buy it. But, like, even that, honestly, like, I don't know. It would depend on who's writing it. If nothing has changed, you're just making it look prettier, which it would be if McFarlane was drawing it. I don't know that that's enough. I don't know if anything is enough. You know, and that's pretty sad. That's really sad. The NFL drove me away. I was a huge Giants fan, and I thoroughly enjoyed the 4 Super Bowls we've won. But I haven't watched a football game in, 3 years now? I haven't watched a single football game in like 3 years because I just don't care anymore. All the nonsense, the political nonsense, everything else, I don't need it. I don't need it. I have other things I can do with my time. And that's the problem. When people realize that they have other things that they can do with their time, once you've skipped it, you don't have to go back. It's really easy to just keep skipping it. So, for example, like take football, for example. Once you've skipped a Sunday, it's pretty easy to just keep skipping Sunday after Sunday after that. Like, it's really not that hard. Like, once you break that habit, it's pretty easy to just keep away from it. And it's the same thing with anything, really. I mean, it's the same thing with movies. It's the same thing with comic books. I mean, listen, if you go to the comic book store every week, but then suddenly, like, there's nothing you want, and you just kind of start skipping a week, and you realize, like, I never really missed it. Like, I didn't really miss it. I found other things to do with my time that I would have done with that time instead. Like, it's real easy to just not go back. And that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing to people. They're driving people who are so passionate about something and fighting so hard against those people who love something that they're making them just walk away and not care anymore. Because eventually, when the people who are in charge are telling you that they don't care about what you think and that they actively are going to malign you and attack you for what you think, it's even worse than they just don't care. They're actually going to attack you and malign you for it. Why would you stick around? Really, why would you? I know I wouldn't. So that's my whole thing. Like, sports fans, for some reason, because sports is still one of the few things in the world that is conceived, that is accepted to be a meritocracy, and you really can't get around it, because if you put subpar players out there, your team's just going to lose and lose and lose, and you're going to lose money, and you're going to lose fans. It's accepted that fans will boo, fans will be upset, fans will badmouth a team, they will complain, they will call for someone to be fired, things of that nature. Whereas in nerd pursuits like comics and movies and TV and stuff, the minute you start calling for something to change and you saying you don't like something, instead of them going, oh geez, okay, we screwed up, all right, we'll fix it, instead they're going, no, you're the problem. Okay, keep telling your paying customers that they're the problem and that they need to go away, and when they do go away, so will your jobs, and so will your company, and so eventually will you. All right, so that's it. I gotta go. I'm home. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, make sure you're still subscribed. If you did subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you won't miss out on anything else. I'd like to get some more comic reviews going. I've read a ton of comics. I just haven't had time to review them. A lot of family stuff and work stuff going on lately. And I've been busting my hump trying to get ICU issue 2 together because this issue is freaking huge. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys soon. Definitely please sign up for Indie Comics Underground. You don't want to miss issue 2. Trust me, you want to get it first. You want to be one of the cool kids who gets it before everybody else. So make sure you're signed up. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon.